were waiting for the demonstrators in force. As opposition protesters arrived, it quickly got violent. Every time the protesters tried to gather, they were attacked with tear gas, batons and water cannon. It became a day of running battles, but the government did succeed in preventing the demonstration from gathering momentum. The pictures show clear evidence that government forces are now using live rounds. But the Iranian government knows that creating martyrs would be counterproductive. No sign at today's gathering of the opposition leader Mir Hossein Mousavi, and he did not give it his open backing. But he has a new letter calling for the elections to be a signal to his supporters that the fight goes on. So the confrontation over the disputed election is into a new phase. Both sides are more determined than ever. It all points to a long conflict of attrition, likely to be played out on the streets of Tehran, a chess game played with Iranian lives. John Line, BBC News, Tehran.
And John Line now joins us from Tehran. John, what's the latest? Is the calm in the capital?
Well, I haven't got any direct information from the streets, but I suspect it's not quiet. We have this daily cry now from the roofs of Allahu Akbar, God is great. It's an opposition protest, and you know, night after night it seems to get louder and longer. Tonight was the loudest and longest I've heard, and that really, I think, symbolises and shows you the mood of the opposition here. Whatever happens, whatever the government is putting up against them, they just seem more and more determined to press on.
Well, John, as you pointed out in your report, the opposition is now calling for the election to be completely annulled, and the Supreme Leader has said that it's going to stand. So they're pretty much on a collision course.
Very much so. We've got some unconfirmed reports tonight that even Mir Hossein Mousavi had some even stronger comments, saying that he was prepared for martyrdom and warning that he'd call a general strike if he was arrested. Can't confirm those. Those are just from one witness of a speech he apparently made in southwest Tehran. But certainly the more comments he posts on his website, the more you hear from him. He's determined to press on. The opposition supporters are determined to press on.
Yes, and tell us a bit more about that. What is the mood among those people who we'd seen on the streets throughout this week? Has the very severe response from the government perhaps cowed them in any way?
I think it just makes them more and more angry. Certainly that was the mood after the speech from the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei yesterday. He's taking his whole position on this, and the opposition aren't backing down either. I think we've gotten absolutely head-to-head. The conflict deepens every day.
And are these demonstrations that we're seeing and the severe response from the government limited only to Tehran, or it's happening around the country?
It's interesting. I've just been seeing some pictures actually from Isfahan, and there's the famous central square in Isfahan, this huge great square, and it's completely full of opposition protesters. I can't verify that photo. I don't know exactly which day it came, but that really backs up accounts we're hearing now increasingly from around the country that this is a nationwide protest.
And very quickly, John, another issue that some have been talking about is the loyalty of the armed forces, those who are putting down the demonstrations for now. Are they still completely loyal to the Supreme Leader, or are there cracks there as we've seen across the country?
We've seen no cracks so far from them. I mean, the Revolutionary Guards answer directly to the Supreme Leader. He's made that his power base, as strangely he's not necessarily so strong amongst the clerics of Rome. So he's built up his power base in the Revolutionary Guards. So that is the challenge for the opposition, really. If they are to overturn this election verdict, they've got the full might of the Iranian security forces against them, at least for the moment.
That's John Line in Tehran. Thank you very much. I have more on that later on the program. Now, thousands of Mousavi